Hey there, it's Cody with a K, back again. I'm going to try and do a video about more comic book adaptations of video games. I've got quite a few sitting around here. The only one I've read that I don't have a physical copy of is Sonic. And I'm glad I don't have a physical copy of it. It wasn't good. But yeah, I was talking about these two issues of Bloodborne last time and how they're really good because they managed to get a lot of the game mechanics and potentially some of the story into these two issues. And these were really good. Put those aside though. And we've got a couple here. The oldest by far have got to be these two. I think this one might be older. Don't quote me on that. This might have been the same time. These are both based on Super Nintendo games that came out really early on in the Super Nintendo's life. You want to know about the history of gaming, go check out Ahoy. That's a good channel. But I'm not going to explain it here. I don't want to keep this video long. I tried to record it once. It was already 20 minutes. That's way too long. But this is Super Mario Adventures, and I really, really like this one. It's way more of a comedy, but that is what I would prefer out of a Mario comic. A Mario comic that takes itself really seriously would be one of the cringiest, most awkward things on the planet. Yeah, this one's just like Luigi and Mario just doing stupid crap while they're trying to save the princess from getting married to Bowser, which weirdly enough is the plot to Mario Odyssey, except without Luigi. But there's just a lot of fun moments, and there's even a backup story with Wario and like how they were kids together. If you like Mario and you like comic books, definitely pick this one up. It's only $15. This is a really good time. That's a really good adaptation of Mario. It's a weird size. You can see, like, you compare it to, like, I just got this issue of the Terrifics here. Yeah, it's just really wide and tall. So I keep it on the top shelf because it cannot fit on any other shelf. But it's definitely worth it if you like Mario games. Which, if you play video games and you don't like Mario, well, maybe you don't like platformers. But if you like platformers and you don't like Mario, something's wrong with you. So this is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, based on a game of the same name, very loosely. But this one I'm torn on. That looks like something from Berserk. But like this one I'm torn on because the faces are really, really weird. The people are drawn really odd. You can tell that Shotaro Ishinomori has more penchant for drawing scenery and cool landscapes and like villains rather than people. I have a feeling he'd make a really good like sci-fi book cover artist. I love that stuff, like sci-fi book covers from the 70s. Those are sweet. But like the art's serviceable, I guess. It's nothing like the actual concept art Link to the Past. There's things he does that are from Link to the Past, like getting the Master Sword. That's a big deal. That's a pretty cool panel. But like Link's dumb hat looks bad. Like he winds up in the Dark World, and he turns into a beast. Which is very odd because in the game he just turns into a bunny. One thing about this though is that it's weirdly predictive for a lot of things in the series. Like here the moon is like the one from Majora's Mask, which I've got Zelda manga that I'll be talking about later. It's really weird that they give the moon a face here in the Dark World, because that's not in Link to the Past at all. They meet Zora. His name is Zora. There's a race of people in Ocarina and onward called the Zora. I guess it's in this, whatever. But they're enemies, but in this one, he befriends Zora. And Zora gives him a mask. A Zora mask. Zora's mask. That's an item in Majora's Mask, a game that came out much later after this one. Fights a dragon that's in the game. They get this thing called the Comfork, which I don't remember that being in it at all. But yeah, he fights this bird man named Rome, but he's really like the Rito from Wind Waker, which was like 10 years after this game came out. Just a bunch of weird things. Like, yeah, look at that. That guy, he can draw everything but people. Oh yeah, the big mass eyes. That's creepy. That's a boss from the game. So it uses stuff from the game pretty well. But like, it's weirdly predictive for things that would come much later in the series. Like, they fight against Ganon, and Zelda uses light arrows against them, which she would do in, I think, Wind Waker again. Twilight Princess, Ocarina. Well, she fights against Ganon with a bow. Not a crossbow, but a bow. But, I mean, if you're a hardcore Zelda fan, oh, there's a boss that was in it too. Except these were turtle heads in the game. Trinex. But if you're a big Zelda fan, I'd recommend it. Just for the sheer novelty of it. As far as I know, it's the first Zelda comic made. Because then, a lot of Zelda comics followed after. I've got many of these because I got them as they were coming out in America way back in the day. Like, the first one's from 2008. And that is, that's 10 years ago. It's, like, right when I started dating my wife. But these are done by, what was it, Akira Himekawa, which is like a pseudonym for two separate women. A Honda and S Nagano. And these are really hit or miss. Like, the people are just like the most weeb anime looking stuff, and that's not that far from the source material, but it's just missing a lot of the personality that the actual like concept art has. If you go look up Ocarina of Time concept art, like, it's got way more going for it than this. Like, the monsters and stuff are cool. Like, I think he fights Volvagia, this big dragon, in this issue. Well, there's Phantom Ganon. Phantom Ganon looks good. But yeah, there's just not... Yeah, there's Volvagia. That's pretty sweet. Volvagia is a really cool boss. But these are just really hit or miss. Like, there's the first two volumes are Ocarina of Time, which is... Like, it's cool that it gets 2 volumes. The plot of Ocarina is relatively short compared to the game. Like, there's a lot of things you have to do in that game, and the plot's really short. But what upset me, Majora's Mask is my favorite by far, and I love this cover. It's so cool. I love Majora's Mask. Again, with the moon having a weird face being in this years before it was in... Who knows? They might have taken inspiration from this. I don't know. I wasn't living in Japan in 2000. I was 5. But the thing about this is they got 2 volumes to go through Ocarina. They're like, yeah, we can get through Majora in 1 volume. They had to cram a lot. Like, so much. Each, like, temple you go to, which I guess that structure doesn't make for a great game. Each temple you go to is, like, just a couple pages. And then they devote a lot of this to this one side quest to help them, which is admittedly a long side quest. But you can't do it all at once. I don't remember if there's anything in this about winding time back, but that is one of the big mechanics in Majora's Mask. You have to go through the same 2 days again and again, and they just don't. So Majora's Mask is fairly disappointing, but then they've got Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, 4 Swords, and I think the last one's Minish Cap. That's not the last one. They made more, but I'm not going to get them because they're okay. I'm glad I own these. It's a cool little memento from the days before they made a ton of merch for every game. There really wasn't a lot to get. Like, if you go down to your local Hot Topic, there wasn't a lot to get for fans of these games at the time. I'm sure there was more in Japan, but here in the States, or at least where I am, there was not a lot of merch to go around. So to get these books was cool. I think I got Majora at the school book fair, and then I started looking for them until I got all of these, which is not nearly all of them now, because they've been making more games. And the last one I want to talk about is Mega Man. It's a shame. I really like Mega Man. I beat all 10 base games, not including Mega Man and Base. Well, that was a weird play on words. Anyway, and it is Base, it's not Bass. Google it. But this is by Flynn and Spaziante. That sounds Spanish. But this, the art in this is pretty cool. It's a lot like the promo art from the old games, the Japanese ones. The promo art for the old American games is horrible and infamous. But this is a lot like the old Japanese promo art, and that's why I bought it. It looks really cool. And it works well enough. But something about the page layouts is just horrible. I can't describe it. It's not like... It's hard to look at. It's hard to read. It feels cheap. I'm going to look at this Jack Kirby book I picked up. And... yeah, obviously this has got the gutters. And like, despite the art being way older than the Mega Man book, this doesn't feel cheap, you know? I think it's the gutters. That's something Diversity in Comics talks about pretty frequently, is how the gutters are needed. And sometimes I was inclined to disagree with them, but looking at this, that's got gutters, and that page is, well, it doesn't have gutters around Dr. Wily there. This page is really hard to look at. With Dr. Light talking about the 6 robot masters. It's... I don't know. He changes colors to do different attacks just like in the game, but that's about all they use. If you were to make Mega Man into a comic directly off the game, it would probably be really boring. You just see him fight 8 robots in order and then go fight a big boss. Not great. But that's the first volume. If you like Mega Man, maybe pick this one up. It's alright. It's based on the first game. The plot's just the first game. But this is not the plot of the second game, which is the one everyone likes. Everyone loves Mega Man 2. This is based on Mega Man Powered Up for the PSP, which is a retcon. And they got a different artist, Chad Thomas, instead of Spaziante. And Chad Thomas is not nearly as good. In fact, that looks like Control-Alt-Delete. I hate the way this looks. They even do it to Bomb Man. I don't know if I can get a good picture of him. But, like, Time Man looks stupid. I mean, Time Man's never looked cool. But they don't... It's not nearly... It looks like a webcomic. And the layouts here are a little more tolerable. But the art is just so much worse. Actually, I take that back. That layout's terrible. Oy. See, there's that guy. I think that's that's Spaziante. Patrick Spaziante. Like, I don't know if that's Spanish, but whatever. Okay, yeah, there's Bomb Man's face in this. It looks horrible. And then there's Bomb Man's face behind. I don't know what's different about it, but there's something fishy going on. Like, this is way better. This one's really hard to stomach. Don't buy the second volume. I wondered when I looked on my shelf why I only had 2 volumes of this, and then I remembered why. There are a lot of really good adaptations of video games, but they all seem to be older. This one's really great. This one is pretty good. They both originally ran in Nintendo Power years ago. I was not alive when this one came out. I bought it later. But I still think this new Bloodborne comic is probably the one that implements the game mechanics the best. I'm looking forward to seeing if that continues in the 3rd issue, and I'll update when that comes out. But for the time being, the winners are Super Mario Adventures and, well, frankly, just issue 2 of Bloodborne. These are the crown champions. Like I said, I'd like to see more, but God, I'm not going to read that Dragon Age Inquisition stuff. My wife really likes that game, but that is not for me. But yeah, if you know of any more really good ones, leave them below. I'm out.